The infant's scream tore through the penthouse suite like a blade through silk. Kang Min-ho stood frozen in the doorway, blood still drying on his hands from the interrogation downstairs, staring at the crying bundle his lieutenant had thrust into his arms. The baby's mother was dead, executed. And now this child, this helpless thing, wouldn't stop screaming. Every caretaker had failed. Every attempt had made it worse. Then she walked in. Kaka, the Nigerian accountant from his legitimate holdings. Curvy, beautiful, terrified. Their eyes met across the marble floor and something impossible shifted inside his chest. When she reached for the baby with trembling hands and pressed the child to her breast, the screaming stopped. Silence fell like snow. And Min-ho knew with brutal certainty that this woman had just become the most dangerous thing in his world. Welcome to Afro-Korean romance, where love has no borders. If you believe in love, please like, share, and subscribe for more Afro-Korean romance stories. The baby latched immediately. Kaka's eyes went wide with shock as tiny desperate sounds of feeding replaced the screaming. Her dark skin glowed under the chandelier light. Her breathing came fast and shallow. Min-ho couldn't look away. He'd killed men for less than breathing near him wrong. He'd built an empire on fear and precision. But watching this stranger feed an orphaned child in his penthouse while wearing a blood-spattered blouse did something to him he couldn't name. His lieutenant shifted nervously behind him. "Boss, she was downstairs in accounting when we heard the baby wouldn't stop. She said she just had her own child last month. She said she could help." Min-ho nodded once, everyone out, the room emptied in seconds. Only Kaka remained, seated now on his leather sofa, the baby peaceful against her chest. She wouldn't meet his eyes, her hands shook. He could see the pulse hammering in her throat. She was terrified of him. Good. Fear kept people alive in his world, but something about her terror made his chest tighten in a way that felt wrong. "Your name, Kaka Okonkwo," she whispered. Her accent was soft and musical. She kept her gaze on the baby. "I work in your accounting department. 3rd floor, I've been there 6 months." Min-ho moved closer. She flinched but didn't run. Smart woman. Running only made prey more interesting. The baby made small, satisfied sounds. Kaka's fingers stroked the child's dark hair with automatic tenderness. "Where is your child?" "With my sister, in Serula. She comes here after her shift ends." Her voice was steady now despite her fear. "I can feed this baby until you find a proper caretaker." Min-ho sat in the chair across from her, close enough to see the way her pupils dilated when he leaned forward, close enough to smell cocoa butter and something floral on her skin. "This baby's mother worked for my rivals. They sent her to infiltrate my organization. She died during interrogation." Kaka's breathing stopped. The baby kept feeding, oblivious. "Now I have a child with no mother and a schedule that doesn't allow for nurseries." Min-ho's voice was flat and cold. "You just became the solution to a problem. I don't understand. You'll move into the East Wing tonight. You'll feed this child when needed. You'll be compensated well. You'll tell no one what you see or hear in this house." Kaka finally looked up. Her eyes were huge and dark and full of the kind of strength that only came from surviving things that should have broken her. "I have a daughter. She's 3 months old. I can't just move in here. Bring her." Min-ho stood. His decision was made. "You'll both live here. Protected, fed, safe. Your sister can visit, but you don't leave this building without my permission. This isn't a request." That night, Kaka stood in the East Wing bedroom holding her daughter Amara while a strange baby boy slept in a designer crib beside her. The room was bigger than her entire apartment in Itaewon. The bathroom had heated floors. The closet held clothes in her size that she hadn't requested. Min-ho's staff had moved her belongings while she fed the baby downstairs. Everything had happened so fast she felt dizzy. A soft knock. The door opened before she could answer. Min-ho entered like he owned the space because he did. He changed clothes. Dark slacks and a black shirt that showed the edge of tattoos at his collar. His face was beautiful in a dangerous way, sharp jaw, calculating eyes, the kind of man mothers warned daughters about. He looked at Amara in Kaka's arms. "Your daughter?" "Yes, Amara, she's perfect." His voice softened just slightly. "The baby will wake in a few hours. My staff will bring what you need. If you require anything else, tell Mrs. Kim." "She manages the household." Kaka nodded. She didn't trust her voice. Min-ho moved closer. She forced herself not to back away. "This arrangement benefits us both. You need safety and income. I need someone the baby accepts, but understand this clearly. You belong to this house now. You don't date, you don't socialize, you don't speak to anyone about my business." His hand came up to cup her jaw. The touch was gentle but possessive. "And you don't leave, ever." Her heart hammered. "What if I try? Then I'll find you." His thumb brushed her cheek. "And you won't like what happens when I do." The first week was surreal. Kaka fed the baby boy every few hours. Min-ho's staff had named him Ti-yang until proper adoption papers could be forged. The child thrived. Kaka's milk came easier knowing she was helping 2 Barbies instead of 1. but the nights were hardest. Min-ho would return from whatever darkness filled his days and sit in the nursery watching her feed Taeyang. He never spoke, just watched with an intensity that made her skin feel too tight. Once she'd asked him why. He'd stood and left without answering. Days became routine. Kaka learned the rhythms of the house, learned which staff were kind and which reported everything to Min-ho, learned that certain floors were forbidden, learned the sound of gunfire from the basement meant someone had displeased him. She hated how quickly she adapted, how normal it became to live in a beautiful prison, how her body responded when Min-ho entered a room. 2 weeks in, everything changed. Kaka was in the kitchen warming bottles when a man she didn't recognize appeared. He was handsome, younger than Min-ho. His smile was easy and dangerous. "You're the new nanny." His Korean was accented, Japanese maybe. Kaka nodded carefully. She'd learned silence was safest. "I'm Hayato. I work with Min-ho." He leaned against the counter. "You're very beautiful. Has anyone told you that?" She turned back to the bottles. Her pulse kicked up for the wrong reasons. "I should go. The Barbies need feeding." Hayato moved closer. His hand touched her waist. "Stay a moment. Talk to me. It's boring here without pretty company." Kaka froze. Her instincts screamed danger, but she didn't know what kind. Then Min-ho's voice cut through the kitchen like a blade. "Remove your hand." Hayato jerked back. His smile vanished. "Boss, I didn't know she was mine." Min-ho crossed the space in 3 strides. His hand wrapped around Kaka's wrist and pulled her against his side. "She's mine. Touch her again and I'll remove your hands permanently." Hayato bowed quickly. "My apologies. I didn't realize. Get out." Hayato left fast. The kitchen emptied of staff within seconds. Min-ho still held Kaka's wrist. His grip was steel wrapped in silk. His breathing was controlled, but she could feel rage vibrating under his skin. "Did he touch you before this?" "No." She forced the word out. "I've never seen him before." Min-ho turned her to face him. His free hand tilted her chin up. His eyes searched hers like he was reading a language only he understood. "If any man in this house speaks to you that way, you tell me immediately." "Understood." "Yes, if any man touches you, I'll kill him. Do you believe me?" Kaka swallowed hard. "Yes, good." His thumb brushed her lower lip. "Because you're not just the nanny, you're under my protection. That means something in my world." That night Kaka couldn't sleep. She kept replaying Min-ho's words, the way he'd said mine like it was fact. The way his touch had burned. She fed Taeyang at midnight and found Min-ho waiting in the nursery. He sat in the leather chair by the window, a glass of whiskey in his hand, shadows under his eyes, can't sleep either. His voice was rough. She settled into the feeding chair. Taeyang latched immediately. Too much happened today. Min-ho watched her with that unnerving focus. "Hayato won't be a problem anymore. I've reassigned him." "What did you do?" "Sent him to Busan. Permanently." He took a drink. "You're safe here, Kaka. I meant what I said." She wanted to ask why it mattered, why she mattered. But the words stuck in her throat. Instead she focused on Taeyang's small, contented sounds, the weight of him in her arms. The strange intimacy of this moment with a man who terrified and fascinated her in equal measure. Min-ho stood. He crossed to her chair and knelt beside it. His hand covered hers where it supported Taeyang's head. Their eyes met. Something passed between them that had no name. "Thank you." His voice was barely above a whisper. "For what?" "For saving him, for staying, for being here when I don't deserve anyone's kindness." Kaka's breath caught. This wasn't the crime boss. This was someone else. Someone broken and human underneath all that carefully controlled violence. "You're welcome." He stood and left without another word. But Kaka sat in the dark long after Taeyang finished eating, wondering what she'd just seen in Kang Min-ho's eyes. 3 weeks passed. Kaka fell into rhythms she didn't want to name, morning feedings with both Barbies while Min-ho worked in his office. Afternoons when Mrs. Kim would watch the children so Kaka could shower or rest. Evenings when Min-ho would return and find reasons to be wherever she was. He never touched her again, but his presence was constant, oppressive, magnetic. She caught him watching her with Amara once. The expression on his face made her chest ache. Longing and grief and something that looked like hope. Then his mask would slam back into place and he'd be the cold crime boss again. Kaka's sister visited weekly. Each time she begged Kaka to leave. "This isn't normal," she'd hiss in Igbo while holding Amara. "You're a prisoner in a golden cage." But Kaka couldn't explain that she'd stopped feeling like a prisoner. That somewhere between midnight feedings and Min-ho's quiet conversations in the dark, something had shifted. That she'd started looking forward to his presence, started noticing the way his jaw tightened when she laughed, the way his hands gentled when he held Taeyang, the way he made her feel seen in a way no one ever had. It was dangerous, it was wrong, it was inevitable. The night everything changed started with a business dinner. Min-ho's associates were coming to the penthouse, high-level negotiations. Kaka was to keep the Barbies quiet in the east wing, stay out of sight. She agreed. Then Taeyang spiked a fever. Kaka tried everything, cool cloths, gentle rocking, but his crying escalated to screaming. Amara woke and joined the chaos. Mrs. Kim knocked frantically. The guests are complaining. They can hear the Barbies. Mr. Kang is furious. Kaka's hands shook as she tried to soothe Yang. His little face was red and hot. I think he needs a doctor. Mrs. Kim's face went pale. I'll tell Mr. Kang. Minutes later, Min-ho stormed into the nursery. His expression was thunderous. He still wore his suit from dinner. She could smell expensive cologne and the faint scent of cigarette smoke. Can you not control one child? His voice was ice. I've been trying. Kaka's voice broke. He has a fever. He needs medical attention. Min-ho's anger evaporated. He crossed to her and took Yang from her arms. The baby's screaming intensified. Get my doctor on the phone. Now, staff scattered. Min-ho tried to soothe Yang, but the baby only cried harder. Kaka reached out instinctively. May I? Min-ho handed him back. The moment Yang was against Kaka's chest, he quieted slightly, still feverish, still whimpering, but calmer. Min-ho's eyes darkened as he watched. The doctor arrived within 20 minutes. An older man with kind eyes who examined Yang efficiently. It's just a mild virus. Common in infants. Keep him hydrated, monitor the fever, he'll be fine in a few days. Relief made Kaka's knees weak. Min-ho's hand steadied her automatically. His touch burned through her thin nightgown. The doctor left, the house settled, but Min-ho didn't move his hand from her waist. They stood in the dim nursery, both Barbies finally asleep. Kaka could feel Min-ho's breath on her neck, could feel the solid heat of him against her back. She should step away, should maintain distance. Should remember he was her captor even if he'd become something more complicated. I'm sorry, his voice was rough, for yelling, for being angry when you were trying to help. It's fine, it's not fine. His other hand came up to her shoulder, turned her gently to face him. Nothing about this is fine. Their faces were inches apart. Kaka's heart hammered so hard she was sure he could hear it. Min-ho's eyes dropped to her mouth, his jaw clenched like he was fighting himself. If I kiss you right now, will you run? She should say yes, should establish boundaries, should protect herself from whatever this was becoming. Instead she whispered, I don't know. His mouth covered hers before the words fully faded. The kiss was careful at first, testing. Then his hand tangled in her hair and deepened it. Kaka gasped against his lips. Her hands came up to his chest. She should push him away. Instead she pulled him closer. Min-ho groaned low in his throat. He walked her backward until she hit the wall between the cribs. His body pressed against hers. Solid, warm, overwhelming. Every cell in her body screamed yes and wrong and more simultaneously. We shouldn't. She broke the kiss, breathing hard. His forehead rested against hers. I know, but I can't seem to care anymore. This is dangerous. Everything about me is dangerous. His hand cupped her face. But I'd burn the world down before I let anything hurt you. The words should have terrified her. Instead they made heat pool low in her belly, made her lean into his touch like she was starving for it. Min-ho kissed her again, slower this time. Devastating. His hands mapped her curves through the thin nightgown. Kaka's fingers found the buttons of his shirt, started opening them without thought. They didn't make it out of the nursery, didn't make it past desperate kisses and fumbling hands and breathy whispers in the dark. Min-ho lifted her like she weighed nothing, carried her to the leather chair by the window, sat with her straddling his lap. The city lights glittered behind them. The Barbies slept peacefully. And everything Kaka thought she knew about herself dissolved under Min-ho's hands and mouth, and the way he said her name like a prayer. The next morning Kaka woke alone in her bed. Someone had carried her there during the night, covered her, left water on the nightstand. For a moment she thought she'd dreamed it. Then she felt the ache in her body, saw the mark on her collarbone where Min-ho's mouth had been. Panic set in. What had she done? She'd slept with her captor, the crime boss who controlled every aspect of her life, the man who'd threatened to hunt her if she ran. Shame and confusion warred with the memory of how he'd touched her, like she was precious, like she mattered, like he'd been waiting his whole life for exactly her. Kaka fed both Barbies mechanically, avoided Min-ho's office, stayed in the east wing like a ghost. By evening she'd convinced herself to leave, to take Amara and disappear before this thing between them became more complicated, before she forgot why she should be afraid. She packed a small bag after the Barbies fell asleep. Pulled on jeans and a hoodie, wrote a note she didn't mean. Then she crept through the silent house toward the service exit Mrs. Kim had shown her once. She almost made it. The elevator doors opened. Min-ho stood inside. His expression was unreadable. He looked at her bag, at her guilty face. At the determination she couldn't quite hide going somewhere, his voice was soft, deadly. I can't stay here. Why? Because last night was a mistake. Because this thing between us can't exist. Because I need to protect my daughter from your world. Min-ho stepped out of the elevator. The doors closed behind him. You're not leaving, you can't stop me. I own every exit in this building. I have men on every floor. You won't make it to the street. His hand cupped her jaw, but more than that, you don't want to leave. Kaka's eyes burned. You don't know what I want. I know you're terrified of what you felt last night. I know you're running from me because staying feels too dangerous. His thumb brushed her cheek. I know because I feel it too. This isn't love, it's captivity. Is it? Then why do you look at me like I'm the answer to every question you've ever had? Why do you lean into my touch? Why did you say my name last night like I was saving you instead of ruining you? Kaka tried to pull away. Min-ho's grip gentled but didn't release. I won't force you to stay. If you truly want to leave, I'll let you go. But understand that once you walk out that door, you're not under my protection anymore. My enemies will see you as leverage. They'll come for you and Amara, and I won't be able to stop them. The words hit like bullets. You're threatening me. I'm telling you the truth. His eyes burned into hers. 3 rival organizations know you live here. No, you matter to me. The moment you leave, you become a target, so you choose. Stay here where I can protect you. Or leave and risk everything. Kaka's resolve crumbled. She'd been so focused on running from Min-ho that she'd forgotten his world extended far beyond these walls. That safety here meant danger everywhere else. What do you want from me? Everything. His answer was immediate. Your time, your trust. A chance to prove I'm more than the monster you think I am, and if I can't give you that, then I'll wait, however long it takes. His forehead touched hers, but I'm not letting you go. Not now. Not ever. The truth of it settled over her like a weighted blanket, suffocating and comforting simultaneously. She was trapped, not by locks or threats, but by the terrifying realization that she didn't want to leave. That somewhere between midnight feedings and stolen kisses, Kang Min-ho had become her home. Fine, she dropped the bag. I'll stay, but we need rules. Name them. No more kissing. He smiled, slow and dangerous. That's one rule I won't be keeping. Min-ho, you asked for rules. I'm giving you honesty. His mouth brushed her soft as a promise. I want you. I've wanted you since the moment you picked up that baby and made the screaming stop. And I don't share, I don't compromise, I don't play games. His hands framed her face. So here's my rule. You stay, you let me protect you. You let me take care of you. And when you're ready, you let me love you the way I've been dying to since the beginning. Before she could respond, he kissed her. Deep and claiming and absolutely devastating. And Kaka stopped fighting, stopped running, stopped pretending she didn't feel the same pull he did. She kissed him back with everything she'd been holding back. Let herself fall into whatever dangerous, beautiful thing this was becoming. The next few weeks were stolen moments. Min-ho feeding Ti-yang while Kaka fed Amara. Their shoulders brushing, his hand finding hers in the dark. Late-night conversations when the Barbies slept. Min-ho told her about his childhood, about a father who trained him for violence, about inheriting an empire built on blood, about the weight of leading men who'd kill or die on his word. Kaka told him about Lagos, about losing her parents young, about raising her siblings. About coming to Seoul for opportunities that never materialized, about Amara's father who'd disappeared when she got pregnant. They learned each other in pieces, in quiet confessions, in the way Min-ho's eyes softened when he watched her, in the way Kaka's breath caught when he entered a room, but the outside world kept intruding. Min-ho's enemies were circling, business deals were falling through, someone was sabotaging his operations from the inside. He grew tense, distant. The violence he usually kept hidden started bleeding into their safe spaces. One night Kaka found him in his office. Blood on his knuckles, whiskey in his hand, darkness in his eyes. What happened? She closed the door behind her. Nothing you need to worry about. I'm not a child. Don't treat me like one. Min-ho looked up. The rawness in his expression made her chest ache. Someone tried to hit one of my warehouses tonight. They knew our security protocols, our shift changes. Someone inside my organization is feeding information to my enemies, who, I don't know yet. His voice was ice, but when I find out I'll make them wish they'd never been born. Kaka crossed to him, took the whiskey glass from his hand, knelt between his legs. Let me help. You can't help with this. I can listen. I can remind you that you're not alone. I can be here when the darkness gets too heavy. His hands came up to frame her face. Why? Because despite everything, you've become important to me. She said the truth quietly, because I care what happens to you. Min-ho's kiss was desperate, seeking, like he was trying to find redemption in her mouth. Kaka gave it to him, let him pour all his rage and fear and need into her. Let him carry her to the leather sofa. Let him love her like the world was ending and she was the only light left. Later, tangled together under his suit jacket, Kaka traced the tattoos on his chest. Tell me what these mean. Most are markers, kills I've made, territory I've claimed. His voice was rough. This one is my father's death date. This one is the day I became boss, and this. His finger traced a small empty space over his heart. This one is for you, me. He pulled her closer. The day you walked into my life, the day everything changed. You're going to get a tattoo for me, already did, last week. He turned slightly. On his ribs was fresh ink, a date in Korean characters, the day Kaka had arrived at the penthouse, the day she'd saved Ti-yang, the day his world had tilted on its axis. Kaka's eyes burned. You're insane, completely. His smile was soft, but you're not running anymore. No, she kissed him, I'm not. The next morning everything exploded. Kaka was feeding Amara when gunfire erupted from the lower floors. Close, too close. Mrs. Kim burst into the nursery, white-faced, shaking. We're under attack, get to the safe room. Now, Kaka grabbed both Barbies, ran. The safe room was hidden behind a bookshelf in Min-ho's office. Reinforced steel, supplies for days. She got inside just as more gunfire rattled through the penthouse. Her hands shook as she tried to calm two screaming infants. Tried not to imagine Min-ho bleeding somewhere, tried not to think about all the ways this could end. Hours passed, the shooting stopped, silence stretched, then the safe room door opened. Min-ho stood there, blood spattered, face grim but alive. Relief made Kaka's knees weak. You're okay for now. He pulled her and the Barbies close. We have to leave. Tonight my location is compromised. Where will we go? Somewhere they won't find us. His eyes held hers. Somewhere we can be safe while I hunt down the traitor and end this. They left Seoul that night, a private conv to Jeju Island. Min-ho owned a compound there, remote, fortified, beautiful in a stark way. For 3 days they lived in isolation. Min-ho worked constantly, calls, meetings, planning. Kaka took care of the Barbies, tried not to think about how quickly violence had shattered their fragile peace. On the 4th night Min-ho found her on the beach. The Barbies were asleep. The moon was bright on the water. He sat beside her without speaking. Finally Kaka broke the silence. How long do we have to hide until I eliminate the threat? His jaw was tight. I have people tracking the traitor. When I find him I'll make an example that ensures no one ever tries this again. And then what? What do you mean? What happens after you win? Do we go back to Seoul? Back to playing house in separate wings? Do I keep being your captive who happens to warm your bed? Min-ho turned to face her. Is that what you think this is? I don't know what this is. You've never told me, because I'm terrified. The admission came rough. I'm terrified that if I say what I feel, you'll realize how completely you've destroyed me, that you'll see how much power you have and decide I'm not worth the risk. Kaka's breath caught. What are you saying? I'm saying I love you. The words were simple, devastating. I'm saying I fell for you the first night I saw you hold that baby. I'm saying every rule I've ever had about distance and control dissolved the moment you looked at me like I was human instead of a monster. His hand cupped her face. I'm saying that if anything happens to you or those Barbies, I'll burn the world down. And I'm saying that I don't care if it's too soon or too complicated or too dangerous. You're mine and I'm yours, and I need to know if you feel even a fraction of what I do. Tears spilled down Kaka's cheeks. I love you too. I've been trying not to, trying to stay smart and safe and distant. But you're everywhere, in every breath, every thought, and it terrifies me because your world is violent and unpredictable and I don't know how to keep my daughter safe in it. Then let me keep her safe. Let me keep you both safe. Min-ho's forehead touched hers. Marry me, what, right now, tonight? Let me make this official. Let me give you my name and my protection and every resource I have. Let me show the world that you're not my captivity, you're my choice. Kaka laughed through her tears. That's the worst proposal I've ever heard. Then let me try again. He pulled a ring from his pocket. Simple, beautiful, exactly her style. Kaka, you walked into my life when I was drowning in darkness. You saved a baby I didn't know how to love. You made me want to be better than the monster my father raised. You made me believe that maybe someone like me could deserve something good. His voice cracked. Marry me, not because I'm powerful or dangerous or because I can protect you. Marry me because I love you more than I've ever loved anything. Because I want to build a life with you. Because I want to watch our children grow. Because I want to wake up next to you for the rest of my life and know that I'm the luckiest man alive. Yes, she kissed him hard. Yes, I'll marry you. They married on the beach 3 days later. No guests, just Mrs. Kim as witness. Both Barbies present. Min-ho wore black, Kaka wore white. The ocean was their music. The stars their witnesses. When Min-ho kissed his bride, he tasted salt and promises and the future he'd never let himself imagine. That night in their room with both Barbies sleeping peacefully nearby, they loved each other with the desperate urgency of people who'd almost lost everything. Min-ho mapped every curve of Kaka's body like he was memorizing scripture. Whispered promises against her skin, made her cry out his name until her voice went hoarse. And when they finally collapsed together, tangled and complete, he pulled her close and said the words she'd needed to hear. You're safe now, always, I promise. For 2 weeks they lived in their island sanctuary. Min-ho's people worked to identify the traitor. Kaka learned what it meant to be loved by a man who'd chosen her over his empire. They established routines, morning swims, afternoon feedings. Evenings when Min-ho would hold both Barbies while Kaka read. Nights when they'd love each other until the darkness outside couldn't touch them. Then the call came, we found him. Min-ho's lieutenant's voice was grim. Park Yi-sung, you're second in command. The betrayal hit hard. Yi-sung had been with Min-ho for years, trusted, valued, family. What's his motive? Money. The rival organization offered him control of your sole operations if he helped eliminate you. Min-ho's expression went cold. Bring him to the warehouse, I'm coming back tonight. Kaka watched him prepare to leave, saw the monster sliding back into place over the man she loved. Be careful, I'm always careful, that's not what I mean. She stopped him at the door, don't lose yourself in the violence. Remember what you're coming back to. Min-ho kissed her, thorough, claiming I could never forget. The next 36 hours were agony. Kaka tried to stay busy, fed Barbies, walked the beach, avoided the news, but she felt Min-ho's absence like a missing limb. When he finally returned, there was blood under his nails despite obvious scrubbing. New shadows in his eyes. It's done. His voice was flat. The traitor, the rivals who hired him, the threat is neutralized. Kaka pulled him into the shower, washed away the evidence of violence, held him while he shook with delayed adrenaline, reminded him that he was more than the things he'd done. That night Min-ho held her so tightly she could barely breathe. I killed him. Yi-sung, I killed the others too, made examples. Made sure everyone knows what happens when they threaten what's mine. I know, does it bother you knowing what I'm capable of? Kaka pulled back to look at him. Yes, but I also know you did what you had to do to keep us safe. I'm not going to pretend your world isn't brutal, but I'm also not going to abandon you because of it. His kiss was grateful, desperate. I don't deserve you, probably not. She smiled against his mouth, but you're stuck with me anyway. They returned to Seoul the following week. The penthouse had been completely renovated, new security, new staff, new beginnings. Min-ho's position was stronger than ever, his enemies were scattered. His organization united under his iron control, but the biggest change was internal. He came home every night, had dinner with his family, played with both Barbies, held his wife like she was air and he was drowning. 3 months after their beach wedding, Kaka stood in the nursery watching Min-ho feed Taeyang. Her heart was so full it ached. I'm pregnant, the words slipped out. Min-ho's hands stilled, he looked up slowly. What, I'm pregnant, about 8 weeks. She touched her stomach. I took a test this morning. The silence stretched. Then Min-ho handed Taeyang to Mrs. Kim, crossed to Kaka and dropped to his knees. His hands spanned her waist, his forehead pressed to her stomach. Thank you, his voice broke. Thank you for giving me this, for giving me everything. Kaka's fingers tangled in his hair. I love you so much it scares me sometimes. He looked up, tears on his cheeks. The monster was crying. I'm going to be the best father, the best husband, I'm going to give you the world, you already have. She pulled him up, kissed him soft and deep. You already have. The baby was born on a spring morning, a girl with Kaka's eyes and Min-ho's determination. They named her Amara's sister, their family complete. Min-ho held his daughter with hands that had killed without hesitation, looked at her with eyes that had seen too much darkness, and vowed that she would never know violence, never know fear, never question whether she was loved. Kaka watched from the hospital bed, exhausted, happy, complete. This dangerous man, this crime boss, this monster who'd chosen her. He was feeding their daughter with the kind of tenderness that still took her breath away. You're staring. Min-ho smiled without looking up. I'm admiring, there's a difference. He finally met her eyes. What are you thinking? That I never imagined this. She gestured to the scene. You, me, our family, this life we've built from something that started so wrong. Was it wrong? Min-ho settled beside her on the bed, both Barbies sleeping nearby. Or was it exactly what we both needed? A collision that woke us up. That forced us to choose each other. Kaka leaned into him. I don't know, but I'm grateful for it, for you, for this, all of it. Min-ho kissed her temple. I was dead before you, walking through life without feeling anything, building an empire that meant nothing because I had no one to share it with. His arm tightened around her. You brought me back to life, you and these Barbies, you're my redemption, and I'll spend the rest of my life proving I deserve you. You already do, every day. Every moment, you already do. Years later, Kaka would remember that first night. The screaming baby, the blood on Min-ho's hands, the terror and inevitability of their collision. She'd remember thinking she was trapped, remember planning to run, remember the moment she realized she was falling in love with a monster. But mostly she'd remember the good parts, the way Min-ho looked at her like she hung the moon, the way he loved their children with fierce protection, the way he built legitimate businesses alongside his shadowy empire, the way he proved every day that monsters could change if they found the right reason. They had 3 more children, 2 boys and a girl. Min-ho's empire expanded, his reputation grew, but he always came home, always made time for dance recitals and soccer games, always held his wife like she was the most precious thing he owned, because she was. On their 10th anniversary they renewed their vows on the same beach where they'd first married, surrounded by 5 children. Surrounded by friends who'd become family. Surrounded by proof that love could bloom in the darkest places if you gave it room to grow. Min-ho pulled Kaka close as the sun set, whispered against her hair, I'd do it all again, every mistake, every violent moment, every dark choice, all of it because it led me here, to you, to this, to the only thing that ever mattered. Kaka smiled, kissed him soft and sweet, me too, despite everything. Despite the fear and the danger and the impossibility of us, I'd choose you every time, and she meant it, because sometimes love wasn't gentle. Sometimes it was brutal and violent and born from chaos. Sometimes it required leaping into darkness with both hands reaching for someone just as broken. Sometimes monsters found redemption in the arms of women brave enough to see past the blood. Sometimes Barbies cried and strangers became saviors and crime bosses learned that the greatest power wasn't fear. It was love, this was their story. Brutal, beautiful, impossible, perfect. This was Afro-Korean romance where love had no borders, where a Nigerian woman and a Korean crime boss built a family from screaming and silence, where two broken people found wholeness in each other, where the most dangerous thing wasn't the violence, it was the vulnerability, and they'd chosen it, chosen each other, chosen love every single day.